Welcome to another episode with Cooking with Coalcracker. Today we're going to be making a food that I really feel like I grew up on. We still eat it to this day. We call them corn bellinis, but most people will call them corn fritters. For corn fritters out in the field, you're going to need these ingredients. Before I mixed my ingredients, I took Crisco, also known as shortening, and put it into a cast iron pan. We want to get that hot because we're actually going to fry these corn fritters. Recipe is very, very simple for this. What I'm going to do is take a half a cup of white flour. We're going to take some baking powder and sprinkle that in. How much? I don't know, just go with it. A tablespoon to a teaspoon, somewhere in there. And then a can of creamed corn, and this is the small can. So just open this up and dump this right in. Sugar to taste. I'm not a big fan of having something really sweet, and I'm gonna tell you a sugar hack at the end that you can do with this. So for sugar, maybe about a tablespoon of sugar in that. And then a little bit of salt. The only reason we're putting the salt in is to activate the baking powder. So I'll just sprinkle a little bit of that in. And then I have powdered egg. So I'm going to put the equivalent of 1 powdered egg in here. You can pre-mix this if you would want. I'm just going to sprinkle this in. It should work just fine because there's some moisture in there. At that point, I'm going to just mix all this up and have a nice batter to dip into my hot oil. So you can see that's a very simple recipe. Simple way to check your oil is just to take a little bit of the batter and set it in there. You could see that it really didn't do much, okay? So I need to get this oil a little bit hotter before I begin to work with it. So you now can see how this is beginning to fry in there. So we know that the oil is getting very close to the correct temperature. And that's what we're looking for, just that oil to fry these up. They're gonna puff up as we drop them in, okay? What you wanna do is you don't wanna make these super big, you wanna make them on the smaller side. So I'll just take a scoop like this and just set it in there. I can make 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 at a shot. The thicker they are, the less chance they're going to be cooked in the center. So you could even spread that out a little bit once it gets in there and allow them some time to begin to fry. You see that starting to brown up around the edge. So what I'm going to do now is just get under there. All right, so corn fritters are all completed. They all came out, look at that, nice and golden brown, not burnt. Look at that, absolutely awesome. So here's the taste test, but first I'm gonna tell you the sugar hack. I like to tell people try it just like this. You can see the simplicity of this recipe, very, very easy. So if you don't have sugar, or you are like me and you don't want these real sweet, but somebody else wants them really sweet, like my wife, what we do is put some powdered sugar over them. They are good like that. I like to eat them just like this though, plain, so let's give them a shot and see. Awesome. The corn gives it some sweetness, plus that little bit of sugar that I added. Absolutely awesome. You can see how they puffed up from that baking powder. Really, really good. And like I said, I grew up on these things. I'm still growing up on them because we just ate them last week. And they're a great trail food. Easy, simple, and an added bonus, putting all that Crisco or oil in that pan or Dutch oven, especially new ones, you're really getting a good seasoning on there. That's what it needs, good oil. So all I do is scrape out the bottom of that pan, dump the oil, and in this situation, I just dump it back in the can and use it over and over. But if you have access, of course, to fresh shortening or oil, do that. But I try to conserve out here. So I hope you try this recipe. I love it. I know you will too. So this was another episode of Cooking with Coalcracker. Check us out over at coalcrackerbushcraft.com. And until next video, stay in the woods, guys. I'm gonna be eating my lunch here.